Hello, everyone. Jared Hoffman here with the second installment of the Better Than Less Than podcast. Appreciate you all for joining me. If you can, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the HBCU Sports YouTube channel and follow us on all of our social platforms, Twitter, X, and Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. You look up HBCU Sports on any other social platforms. You will find us there. And you can go to hbcusports.com for all the latest news in HBCU sports. For those who are new here, not just to the HBCU Sports YouTube channel, but to the Better Than Less Than podcast. This is all of the HBCU sports news at the Division II and the NAIA level. We do have podcasts for the Division Ones. Chris has the MEAC and more, where he talks about obviously the MEAC and the independent Division One HBCUs, Tennessee State, Hampton, and North Carolina A&T. And Ken Rashad and Kendrick Marshall both have the Swag Page podcast where they talk about the big boys, the swag. But here at the Better Than Less Than podcast, you will hear about CIAA, the SIAC, you'll hear about the HBCUAC, and other independent HBCUs like Zula, Langston, West Virginia State, Lincoln, Missouri, so on and so forth. So we have a couple of topics here that we want to talk about. We're going to leave the big topic for the end. We're going to first talk about a big recruiting move made in the SIAC by Savannah State. Yes, they have added a former Big Ten SEC tight end, Arik Gilbert, to their roster for his final year of eligibility. Arik Gilbert has had a pretty tumultuous college career. It began in 2019 at LSU. He had a lot of offers coming out of high school. This guy was a highly touted talent coming out of Marietta High School, where he was the Gatorade Player of the Year. Now, before we even get into the college career of Arik Gilbert, just want to talk about how significant of a talent Arik Gilbert was. This is Arik Gilbert on the cover of Sports Illustrated, where the caption is Gatorade High School Athletes of the Year, Excellence, Character, Achievement. And below it says Legends of Tomorrow. And who was that standing next to him? That is Paige Beckers. Paige Beckers, who just won a national championship at UConn and was just the number one pick in the WNBA draft this year by the Dallas Wings and expected to be the point guard of the future for the Wings. Now, if that doesn't hype you up to be one of the best athletes in the modern era, I don't know what does. Like Legends of Tomorrow, and you have one of the biggest stars, upcoming stars in women's basketball standing next to you, and Paige Beckers. That's a lot of hype surrounding you before you even play your first game of college. Now, obviously, this is before Paige played her first game in college, and we see how her college career went. But that's some high expectations for you for Arik Gilbert, But now we get into the college career of Gilbert. It started off interestingly, had his best season of his career at LSU in 2020 during COVID. Played 8 games, caught 35 passes for 368 yards, and scored 2 touchdowns. That is an impressive freshman season, a very impressive freshman season. But after the year first of all, before we get into what happened after the season, ended the season early, only played 8 games, opted out of the remainder of the season. I believe the report said it was because of bodily injury. I'm not sure what that would entail, but that's what the report said, is that he opted out of the remainder of the season for bodily injury. And then he entered the transfer portal, and then he made his way to where you see on your screen, the University of Georgia. Now, he didn't play in the 2021 season, but he got to watch the University of Georgia win a national championship from the sidelines. And I didn't read too into what went into him not playing in the 2021 season, but he did not play in the 2021 season. Got to watch University of Georgia play in the national championship. And then when he stepped onto the field next year, with the University of Georgia when they won a second straight national championship. He actually got to be involved. Now, he didn't play much, played very sparingly, put up some solid, put up a little bit of numbers. Had one game against Vanderbilt where I believe he had 2 catches for 16 yards and a touchdown, but didn't play much during that national championship season. But at least he could say that he played for the team during their national championship season. I believe there was 2 other games that he played on special teams and didn't put up any offensive numbers or defensive numbers. Then this is where it starts to go south for him. He transfers again after the 2022 season to Nebraska, I believe in the first year under Matt Rule. I believe he was one of Matt Rule's signings at Nebraska. And unfortunately, this is where we stop talking about Art Gilbert on the field, because he has not stepped on the field since that 2022 game against Vanderbilt. He's had his fair share of legal troubles. He had a couple of arrests in 2023 and had an arrest in 2024, and has just not been able to see the field. So, yeah, it's rare that you see a guy that hasn't stepped on the field in multiple years in any capacity, on offense, on defense, or on special teams. This is a guy that has not stepped on the field at all since 2022. So usually when you see Power 5 guys come down to the FCS level, they at least played on special teams in the previous year or the year before last. This is a guy that's coming in cold to Savannah State. A highly touted player coming into college, but you got to wonder, what kind of work was he putting in during those years where he wasn't on the field? Was he still in the gym? How is his conditioning? How was he doing spring training? I would love to reach out to Savannah State to see how they viewed him as a talent. Obviously, they took a chance on him, so they must think very highly of him. But I'm wondering what his conditioning is going to be like for a full 12-game season, 12-game season for Savannah State this year. This is a huge signing. This is obviously highly reported. It went viral on social media that this guy, who was once a 5-star talent that many looked at as you saw on that cover of the Sports Illustrated thing, was one of the legends. They were expecting him to be a legend of tomorrow. And now he's coming down to the SIAC after being a college football playoff national champion. Now, obviously, he didn't have as much playing time on that team, and he wasn't a significant role player on that national championship team. But a national championship player is a national championship player at any level. So curious to see what kind of impact he's going to be able to have. Savannah State is a team that is consistently a contender in the SIAC, but in recent years, since returning to the SIAC, they've had their fair share of troubles. Last year, they improved over the previous year. Last year, they finished 2-8 overall, which was their first losing season since returning to the SIAC in 2019. They had a 5-5 year, and they were, I believe, 4-3 in the SIAC, or 4-4 in the SIAC last year. So this is a solid team that he's coming to. Obviously, him being a tight end, and going to Savannah State, of course, people are going to link him and Shannon Sharp, but naturally with Shannon Sharp being the poster boy for Savannah State football. But I'm interested to see how this plays out, and just because a lot of people look at the Division II level, and this is the theme of why I named the show what this show is. Everybody looks at Division II as lesser talent. So you look at a guy that just came from a Power 4 school or Power 5 school at that point, and they're going to say, oh, he should dominate. He should dominate because Division II is lesser talent. Division II is the little brother to the Division Ones, or even to the FCS, let alone the FBS or the Power 5 level. So there's no reason why he shouldn't dominate, even though he's coming off a 3-year layoff. This will be his first game in well over 700 days. Well, I don't know if that math checks out, but I'm pretty sure it does. But yeah, just the fact that this would be his first football game in nearly 3 whole years. That's not easy to overcome, and especially in the SIAC that we talk about every single year is one of the toughest conferences in Division II football, let alone HBCU football. So this is not going to be an easy transition for him. I expect him to have some success as the year goes on. Maybe that he if he takes it seriously and he gets his body right before the season, conditions himself well, and comes in with the proper mindset. As Chris says, SIAC got dogs, so he better be, yeah, absolutely. He better be ready to fight for all them catches and yards because they're not going to come easy. They do not come easy in the SIAC. We've seen a couple of our guys, take that leap. We've seen Antonio Meeks go from Tuskegee to Louisville. He's now at Louisville. That shows you the amount of talent that is in the SIAC. Peyton Ramsey played a couple of years in the pros. Now, those are wide receivers, but you look at the running back position. Emmanuel Wilson, who was at Fort Valley State and won the SIAC Player of the Year. He foregoed his final year of eligibility and went to the NFL, and it paid off for him. He is on the Green Bay Packers 53-man roster and is making a difference on that team. The fact that he was the number 2 running back this season for a Green Bay Packers team that made it to the playoffs. That's the talent that is in the SIAC. So this is not, I don't think that by any stretch of the imagination that this is going to be easy for Mr. Gilbert. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination that this makes Savannah State the favorite in the SIAC. I think this is going to be a tough transition, but hopefully if he puts the work in and he takes it seriously and he focuses his mind on playing the game of football, hopefully this works out for Savannah State. But yeah, just looking forward to see how this plays out. Savannah State's looking for their first win in season finishing above 500 since 2021, and they're looking for their first SIAC championship since returning to the SIAC. Now we get into the big topic of this episode, and it was a controversial tweet made by I'm not sure if it's an NCAA sponsored page. It would be very irresponsible if it was an NCAA sponsored page, but it is I'll get into the tweet in a second, but first let me give you some background. So the NFL draft happened last Thursday through Saturday, and there were no Division II players taken. And there were very few players that were that signed undrafted free agent deals. There were no Division II HBCU guys, including Jada Byers, that didn't sign undrafted, that haven't signed undrafted free agent deals. They could potentially in the coming weeks as as we go into the summer and we go into OTAs and all that other stuff, but we did have one from Langston. I forget the young man's name. There's a young man from Langston that recently signed an undrafted free agent deal. I'll try to get his name as I continue on. But so in terms of Division II NAIA, there were very few guys that signed undrafted free agent deals, and it prompted a tweet from a page called College Football Transfer Portal. And for those who can't see this tweet, it says there were 0 Division II players drafted in the 2025 NFL draft. If your goal is to get drafted in the NFL, you need to get out of Division II. This is from College Football Portal, College Transfer Portal. This was very irresponsible. This was an idiotic, irresponsible tweet to send. Whether this is an NCAA sponsored page or not, this was highly irresponsible for a myriad of reasons. First of all, the transfer portal is already out of control as it is. So you trying to put out this narrative that you can't get drafted to the NFL from Division twos is is un it I gotta keep saying the word irresponsible. It is very irresponsible. You already have guys who have the wrong leadership in their ear, putting thoughts into their head like, oh, you need to enter the transfer portal, get that NIL money, and all it. Like it's not. I'm gonna get into that in a second, Chris. I'm gonna get into that in a second, but it's very irresponsible to say with the portal the way that it is, with thousands of guys entering every month. Every month there's a new there's a batch of guys entering the transfer portal, either because they see that there may not be any playing time for them, or they want to go to the bigger and brighter lights of the power fours, or they feel like they can increase their profile by going to the Division 1 FBS or FCS or to the power four level. When in all actuality, it's not a guarantee. You are taking a huge risk by entering the transfer portal. Just because you enter the transfer portal and go to the Division 1 level, one, it doesn't mean you're going to get playing time. We've seen plenty of guys. Zelly Aldridge from Tuskegee, he transferred to Alcorn State. Didn't get much playing time at Alcorn State. He's back in the SIAC with Albany State. Now, that's no disrespect to Zelly Aldridge. That has nothing to do with his talent whatsoever. He could have easily got on the field at Alcorn State and got playing time. It just didn't work out for him that way. There's been plenty of guys. Even if you go to the FCS level, we've seen guys go from FCS to FBS and didn't get playing time. Look at Terrell Allen, who won the Buck Buchanan Award at Tennessee State. He transferred to Tulane, and his draft stock seemingly drops as a result, because he doesn't get the necessary playing time he needs to show off his skill set at the FBS level. So it's not a guarantee that I'm just going to go to the Division 1 level. I'm going to ball out. I'm going to get drafted. That's not the case. Do I need to mention that there were guys at the Division 1 level, even the Power 4 level, that didn't get drafted? There are guys at every level that go undrafted. Going to the Division 1 level is not a guarantee. They will find you wherever you are if you are good enough. And as Chris pointed out, there's a Division 2 defensive starter with 2 Super Bowl rings as we speak. Do I need to mention that he's not the only Division 2 player on that team with 2 rings? Do I need to mention that? Do I need to mention Emmanuel Wilson, who of course he went undrafted, but he's in the NFL. And that goes to my second point. Is the goal to get drafted, or is the goal to play in the NFL? Help me out. Because last time I checked, I've never heard of anyone who aspired to play in the NFL saying their goal was just to get drafted. No, it's to step on the field. It's either to step on the field or making some guys have the goal to, make enough money to where they can take care of their family. Absolutely. You can't do that by just getting drafted. That's not enough. You have to put the work in, get on the field, and prove your worth to get that money to provide the life for your family. Just getting drafted is too short-sighted of a goal. That's another reason why this tweet is so irresponsible. Because what do you mean if your goal is to get drafted? That's too short-sighted of a way to think about that. Because we've seen plenty of guys that weren't drafted that ended up getting playing time over guys that were drafted. Look at Marquise Bell on the Dallas Cowboys. Look at Cordero Hodge on the Atlanta Falcons, who was just named to a Pro Bowl with the Atlanta Falcons as a special teamer. We've seen guys who were drafted in the first round that flamed out in a couple of years. Do I need to say the name Jamarcus Russell? Do I need to say name Ryan Leaf? It is not a guarantee that if you go to the Division I level, you will get drafted and you will have success at the NFL level. Have we seen guys move up to the Division I level? And when I say the Division I level, I mean the FBS, Power 4 level, because that's really what they mean. Have we seen guys go up to the FBS level or Power 4 level and get drafted? Yes, we've seen it. Brian Cook did it. He went from Howard to Cincinnati, and he got himself drafted. And coincidentally, he's also a two-time Super Bowl champion with the Kansas City Chiefs on that same team as Joshua Williams, who we referenced earlier. But it is not a guarantee. It's not even a guarantee that you're going to get picked up by a team, let alone that you're going to get drafted. So putting this narrative out there is entirely too irresponsible. Everybody's walk is different. We've seen guys from the Power 4 level, the FBS level, the FBS Group of 5 level. We've seen guys at the FCS level. We've seen guys at the Division 2 level, the Division 3 level, the NAIA level, the NCCAA level. We've seen guys at every different level of football in collegiate football, every single level, have success in the NFL. Where you go does not dictate the amount of success you have in the NFL. It's about what you do in the situation that you are in. We've seen guys from Fort Valley State. We've seen guys from Tuskegee. We've seen guys from Fayetteville State, who we just talked about. Name a Division II school. I can name you a player that had success in the NFL. You want to talk about Savannah State, who we just talked about earlier? Shannon Sharp. You want to talk about Fort Valley State? Greg Lloyd. You want to talk about Fayetteville State? Joshua Williams, two-time Super Bowl champion, by the way. Come on now. Like, we can't put that narrative out there and feed into this transfer portal idea that you got to enter the transfer portal just because, this year there weren't a bunch of Division II players that were drafted. There weren't a lot of FCS players drafted either. You're going to say that, if you want to get drafted, don't go to the FCS level. You better go to North Dakota State because that's the only way you're going to get drafted. That's irresponsible, because who's to say you go to North Dakota State and you're going to get playing time? Who's to say that, let's just say you get all this interest from the SEC or the Big 12, the Big 10, you get interest from the ACC, you go there and you're riding the pine. You're watching from the sidelines. How does that help you? It doesn't help you at all. No cosign in the world is going to help you if you ain't got the film on tape. If anything, the best you're going to get is a coaching fellowship offer. That's the best you're going to get. And even those, you got to be on a college football coaching staff. So this was an extremely irresponsible tweet to put out. It really makes no sense, because we've seen guys at every level get drafted to the NFL. It doesn't guarantee your success, whatever level you're at in college. We've seen a guy in Shedeur Sanders who was talked about as one of the top 2 quarterbacks in this year's draft class slide to the 5th round. Now, we can argue till the cows come home about the reason why he slid in the draft. But the point is that he balled out at Colorado. Nobody in their right mind, even the biggest haters of the Sanders family, can say that Shedeur Sanders did not go to Colorado and change the culture of Colorado, on the field and off the field. But on the field particularly, going from 4-8 to 9-3 and being bowl eligible in 1 year. That's off the work of Shedeur, of Travis, and all those guys in Colorado. And you watch that on tape, and you're telling me that Shedeur Sanders is not one of the top 2 players in this draft, and he slips to the 5th round. Now, we're not about to make this podcast about that. My point is that it doesn't guarantee going Division I FBS or Power 4 does not guarantee you your success at the NFL level. It doesn't guarantee you're going to get drafted, and it doesn't guarantee that you're going to be a rotation player at the NFL level. And just to continue to harp on the transfer portal part of this, the transfer portal is already out of control as it is. We see guys every day on social media sharing their highlight tapes to any coach who will even pay attention to it, trying to get the attention of somebody because they're lost in this portal because nobody will recruit them. When a lot of guys already have a spot solidified. A lot of guys already have a comfortability. They have a coach there who has that recruited them and input a style of play that would lead to their success. This narrative that you can't get drafted from the Division II, you're stifling somebody's growth by telling them, oh, you should just leave Division II because there's no hope of you getting drafted from there. Tell that to Joshua Williams. Tell that to Trenton Cannon. It's happened. It may not happen as often as we may like, but it's happened. Tell that to Tyson Bagent, who is a former Harlan Hill Trophy winner from Shepherd, who is now on the Chicago Bears as their backup quarterback. It's happened. And everybody's story is different. Not everybody's story is, oh, I go to LSU or I go to Alabama, I go to Florida, I go to Georgia, I go to this FBS school. I play to the best of my ability. I'm an All-American. I'm a Heisman Trophy candidate. I get drafted to the NFL. I'm a Hall of Famer at the NFL. That's not everybody's story. Everybody's story is different. You can't manufacture somebody else's story just because it's less likely to be written the way you want it to at a certain level. Some guys are meant to be at the Division II level. Some guys are meant to be at the Division III level. Some guys are meant to be at the NAIA level, USCCAA, NCCAA. Most guys are meant to be there's a reason why. There's only but so many roster spots. And you going from one team to another just because you had a great year at a school that is at a lower level, it doesn't guarantee that you will get a chance to prove that you can do it at the higher level. There's a couple of guys recently who entered the transfer portal and went up a level. Malik Moore from Tuskegee. He's taking a risk by going up to Stephen F. Austin, which is the FCS. He's going from Division II to FCS. There's no guarantee that he's going to have success at Stephen F. Austin like he did at the Division II level. Going back to our first topic earlier, you go down a level, it doesn't guarantee your success. We'll see what Art Gilbert can do. But who's to say that Art Gilbert doesn't ball out, he enters the draft, and he gets selected in the 6th round and becomes a rotation player on an NFL team? Who's to say that won't happen just because it's unlikely? Just because it's less likely to happen than for somebody that was drafted from an ACC school or Big 10 school or Big 12 school or SEC school. Who's to say it won't happen for them? You can't just manufacture somebody else's story just because it's more improbable to happen than if you were at a higher level. So to college recruits that may see this, write your story the way that God intends for it to happen. Don't do it just because you see somebody happen for somebody else, because that person's story isn't your story. We all have our own individual stories, and that goes beyond sports. Comparison is the thief of joy. That is one of I forget who coined that saying, but it really is. You can't compare yourself to people who played at the Power 4 level or at the FBS level, Because you compare yourself to them, then you're going to stifle your growth as a player. You're going to stifle yourself as a person, let alone as a player. Go where you are, ball out, and if it's best for you to enter the transfer portal and move up, then all power to you. You're still taking a risk, but all power to you. But don't do it just because you see it's the trend. A lot of people just enter the transfer portal because that's just the trendy thing to do. Oh, I had a big year. I'm trying to move up to get this NIL money. And that's another thing. A lot of guys don't enter the transfer portal simply because of the NFL aspect of it. It's because of the NIL aspect of it. A lot of guys are chasing after that money, which again, that grass ain't always greener on the other side, because you go up there chasing that NIL money and you stifle yourself from being able to make money at the next level because you didn't produce the way you were supposed to. They are expecting you to produce when they give you that money. You're not just getting that money just to get it, just to get in the door. No, you're getting that money because they're expecting you to produce at a high level. And it's not a guarantee that you're going to get that chance. So all in all, this was a very irresponsible tweet, and I expect better from an account called College Transfer Portal. Somebody an account that reports on transfer portal entries every day. And you see how out of control it is. You see how many guys get lost, and you have to help out and reach out to coaches and different coaching staffs to even get them a look. We've seen how many guys have to post their highlight tapes every single day because no one is looking for them. They don't have a need for them. And they just get lost, and their college career ends prematurely because they made a risky decision. There's no guarantees in the transfer portal. There are none. There's no guarantees that when you get to where you are, that you're going to get the opportunity to produce the way that you're supposed to. And let's just be honest. Some guys just aren't good enough. It's unfortunate to say it like that, but it's true. Unfortunately, there are just some guys that aren't good enough to play at the Division I level. They just aren't. Some guys just don't have the work ethic. Just some guys don't have the right attitude. Some guys just don't have the right focus. And skill-wise, you just may not measure up. And that's okay. You can develop at a Division II level. You can develop at the Division I level. And maybe you can work yourself into the player that you are supposed to be. But the fact of the matter is that the NFL isn't for everybody. There's a reason why being drafted to the NFL is such a huge honor, because it doesn't happen for everyone. Just like college isn't for everyone. We've seen guys be player of the years at their high school that don't have the success in college. And we've seen guys be player of the years in college that don't make it to the NFL or don't have success in the NFL. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So there's no guarantees at any level of football. There's no guarantees at any level of any sport. That's why getting drafted and playing in the NFL and having success in the NFL is such an honor, because it doesn't happen for anyone. There's a chosen few people that go on to have Hall of Fame careers in the NFL. Well, it should be a distinct honor to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. A lot of times they take that achievement away from people, but we're not going to get into that. But there's no guarantee of anything in college or in the NFL. So saying things like this is just irresponsible. And yeah, I guess that's all I got. But that's going to be it for this edition of the Better Than Less Than podcast. Again, if you all could please leave a subscribe, like, and comment. But what do you guys think about this tweet? Was it irresponsible? Was it something that, is that propaganda that we should be putting out there that, you know, maybe Division 2 isn't the way to go, but you should go to Division 1? Do you believe that it's best to play at the Division 1 level to get drafted? Or do you think that everybody's story is different and that maybe, it's all about the work that you put in, and if you're good enough, they'll find you. Leave a comment and let us know what you think about this tweet. And yeah, just thank you all for watching. Again, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. You can subscribe to become a YouTube member of our channel, a level 1, level 2, and level 3, to get some exclusive content. Again, follow us on all of our socials. We're on Twitter X, we're on Instagram, we're on Blue Sky, we're on TikTok, we're on all of the social medias. Shoot, if MySpace was still around, we'd be on that too. But you can always go to hbcusports.com for all the latest news in HBCU sports. Until next time, I'm Jared Hoffman. See you guys.